Welcome everyone. Today we are going to be learning how to build a basic web page, and let's get started. This is our objective today. We want to understand what websites are first of all. Then we want to understand what are the basics of HTML and the terminologies that go by. Then we also want to talk about how to create a basic web page. That's the main thing we're here for anyway. Then we are also going to learn about HTML5 and also some basic styling. So what makes up a website? A website is simply made up of web pages. And then what are those things that make up a web page? In the most simple terms, a web page has three layers. It has a structure, and it has a style, and then a behavior. Now the structure is achieved with HTML, while the style is achieved with CSS, and the behavior is achieved with JavaScript. Now what do we need to create websites? We need, of course, we need a computer, so you have to have a computer before you write there. Then we need a text editor, and then we need knowledge of HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, and also we need a server. Now we have two kinds of server that we can use for building websites. We can use a local server, and a local server, what it really does is that it's just a server that runs on our personal computers, and it's used to just test for testing purposes, just to test your website before you now deploy them on the internet. Now when you're ready to deploy your website on the internet, that's when you will be needing a remote server. Okay, now we have various text editors that we use to create our website. Like we have Notepad, which is virtually in every computer, and then you have Notepad++, the Sublime, and then you have Atom, VS Code. We have other ones actually, but these ones are just a few I just want to mention here. So you can go ahead and use whichever one that you feel comfortable with. But for today, we're going to be using Notepad. Now, what are the basic terms that we need to know about HTML? Now, HTML itself means hypertext markup language. It's not a programming language like some people usually confuse it to be. It's just a markup language, which means that it's just a kind of way of encoding your page so that the browser will understand it and then know how it can render your page on the best possible way to do that. Now, the next thing we need to talk about is elements. Elements are the basic building blocks in your HTML. Elements are the main major things that make up your HTML page. So we have a lot of elements, and we'll be dealing with lots and lots of them, and most of them come in pair. The pair is like it has an opening tag and a closing tag. Like for instance, we have the HTML element here. It's made up of an opening HTML tag and a closing HTML tag. Now the closing tag is usually marked with a /, as you can see on the screen. Now we also have elements that don't need closing tags, like we have the link element, the meta element, and we also have the image element. There are other ones that also don't need closing tag that you will be encountering as we move on in the course. Now let's also talk about attributes. Attributes are very important items that you use to give more additional power to your page, to your element rather. They are something like, something that adds more properties to your element. Let's take an example. This is an image element. The work of an image element is to add an image to your page, just to make your page to be able to display images. But you need to direct the image element to the location where the image is stored. So, and that's the work of this source attribute here. So you can see the source attribute simply points to the location of the image so that the image element can easily locate it and get it displayed on your page. We are going to be seeing a lot of attributes and also a lot of elements, and we'll understand better how to use it. So let's go ahead and create our first web page. So I hope you're ready. So you just have to launch your text editor, whichever text editor you're comfortable with, you can use it, but I'm going to use a Notepad for the purpose of this training for today. And I want you to open your Notepad or whatever text editor you're comfortable with, and then I would like you to type this code into your editor. Now I'm just going to come over here, and I already have my code typed into my notepad editor. And after you've done this, you now need to save your page. Now you can give it any name you like. I'm going to give this a name, home, and then you have to end it with a HTML extension, and just save your name with whatever name .html, and then make sure you have your character encoding set as UTF-8 here, just like I've done. And then you have to save your page and ensure you know where you're saving your page. I'm saving mine on the desktop for now, and there you go. Now I'm going to go back here and I'm going to locate where my page is, and then I'll open it on the browser like we have here. Okay, now this is my page, the page I just created right from the code on the training document. Now let's look at this code closely and know what exactly it's talking about. Now I want us to do a proper analysis of our code. This is the code we typed on our page. Now if you look at the code closely, you will see that there are just basically two sections on your HTML document, and that's the head section and the body section. Now the head section is where you add items that are very necessary for the proper working of the page, but they don't necessarily need to be seen by the visible eye. They don't the users don't really need to see what is on this code. They are just merely codes that help your website to work properly. But the body is where you put all the items that the new users of your website need to see and interact with. I hope you understand what I mean. Now for instance, we have this is my home page, and this is a bold text written here on inside the body element. And when you go to check it out on the website, on the web page on the browser, you'll see exactly how it displayed. Now what we have here is exactly what we have in our title section of the web page. Now this is embedded within the title, and the title is inside the head tag. So this is one of the things you put in the head tag. So as we move on, we'll see other things that we can add into our head section of our page. But basically you should understand that your page is made of two sections, and it's the head section and the body section. All are wrapped inside the HTML element. Okay. Now what are other things that we can add to our page? Now we already know about the HTML element. We also know about the body element. Now we can talk about the heading, the paragraphs, line breaks, horizontal rule, and comments. Now let's start with the heading elements. Now the heading elements are things that you can use to add a heading to your article or your write-up, like you adding it, like adding a title to your write-up, or adding a subheading, or things like that. So I want you to just copy this code or type in this code into your text editor. And make sure you add it within the body section of your page, like I'm doing right here. Then I'm going to save this to my page, and I'll now go ahead and refresh. So this is what we have. So if you noticed, we have 6 kinds of headings. We have headings 1 down to 6. You can see here, and that's the way they all display from heading 1 down to 6. So it gets smaller as we progress, as from this heading 1, heading 2, heading 3, and then down to 6. So that's how heading works. And we're going to go over to paragraphs. Paragraphs are it's an element that you can use to add other contents in your page that are not headings, like your normal the normal body of your maybe your write-up. So I have a paragraph text here. I'm just going to copy that as well, and I'm going to paste it right into my page. Now save once more and preview on the browser, and that's it here. Okay, so that's how it works. Now you'll be using this a lot to put content into your page as we go on. Now let's talk about line breaks. Now one problem with HTML is this: it doesn't understand when you press the enter key in your keyboard, like you want to break a line and go to type things on a multi-line. Let's just have a demonstration of what I'm saying. Now let's say I want to put a paragraph like this. I want to press enter so that I go to the next line, and then I say this is another line, and I'll say this is yet another line. So now everything I've typed here, it doesn't really understand that I want this to be on a multi-line level. So when I save this and I go ahead and preview it on my browser, I'll still see everything on one line. So how do I do a line break? That is where the line break element comes into play. Now when you want to do a line break, all you do is to add the line break elements like this. It doesn't need a closing tag, so just type it. So from what I did here, I'm trying to say that I need a line break here and I need a line break here. So I'm going to save this document, and then I'm going to preview it, and this is it. So we have line breaks. Now to the next thing. Now we need to know how to draw horizontal rules, or make comments on our page. Horizontal rules are like drawing a horizontal line on your page, and then comments are things that you can use. Maybe you want to make a comment on your page, but you don't want that to display on the website. You just want to comment on the page. Maybe you want to describe the meaning of a code you just put on the page, maybe for other developers to see, or maybe for one reason or the other, or maybe like in a work environment for your boss to understand what the code is all about. So if you want to, first of all, let's start with the horizontal rule. So I want you to come over to your page and just put the HR element, which is the horizontal line element, and there you go. And then you save your page, and then you also go straight to the browser and then preview. Now you have the horizontal line here. Now let's also see how the comment works. The comment is very simple actually. It's made up of two tags. We have this tag, which is at the beginning. It's made up of a couple of things. We have the angle bracket, exclamation mark, 2 dashes, and then it ends with 2 dashes and an angle bracket. So I'm going to go right here and make a comment anywhere on my page. I'm going to type exclamation dash. Now here I made a comment, and put 2 dash, and then I close it up. So all this I typed here is never going to show up on my page, because the browser is going to just understand that this is just a mere comment. So I'm going to come here, and then if I refresh my page, it doesn't show up because it's a comment. Okay, so let's go over to the next thing. Now we need to know how to create lists on our page. We need to know how to create lists. Now, how do we create a list, or what kind of list do we have in the first place? We have 3 kinds of lists that we can create on our website, on our page. Now we have what we call the ordered list. We have what we call the unordered list, and then we also have what we call the description list. Now all these lists all look alike in the way they are considered. They are just made up of a list element, which describes the kind of list you want to create, and then you have the list items here. Now the list items are the li code elements that as you can see. Now I'm just going to copy this code right into my page. Now as you can see in the code, we have OL as the ordered list element. So I'm going to paste this right here into my code, and I'm going to check it out on the browser. So I have it right here. Sorry, do a little bit of arrangement. Now I want you to look closely on how this was made. This is the main list. This describes what kind of list you want to create, and here we are talking about on ordered list. And then we have the list items here. Each of them are wrapped into by a list element, that's li. So we have 4 items here. Now I'll save, then I'll go to my browser, and then I refresh my browser, and this is what I have. So an ordered list element is like a numbered list element, as you can see here. Now I'm going to create also an unordered list. Sorry. So here we have an ordered list. I'm going to copy the code here, and I'm going to place it right under this one. Sorry. So you can see the the element that describes our unordered list is just UL. So inside here we have the same thing what we have on the other kind of list. So once you save this and then you preview it on your browser, refresh my browser, and then I have an unordered list, which are just bullet points here. Okay, let's quickly move over to the next. Now I would like you to do the same thing for the description list, and you can see what will come out of it. So I'm just going to move over to the next thing here.